Hello everyone and welcome to TIP Annual Conference 2022, themed The Parenting Advantage. We're bringing you coaches from all over the world, from Nigeria, Australia, Germany, Canada, the USA and the United Kingdom, even India. Get ready, your mind will be blown, your parenting game will be lifted high. You want to be a part of this. My name is Joy Unspeakable and I am the official MC of the Intentional Parents Academy. See you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Fortune and I am a Yaga. Yay! TIP is the best place to be for every intending and every parent. Trust me, I've been a Yada for the past 3 years, and the knowledge, the skills, in fact, it's inexplicable. Being in the yard has equipped me with a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills, and much more. I've not only been able to transform my family via the knowledge and the skills that I've been exposed to, I've been able to even develop myself. I'm a teen mentor, and the way I am being able to relate this message, this knowledge and the skills that I have garnered, it's amazing. It's amazing. There are a lot of tools that as a parent you must have at your disposal for you to be able to parent effectively. And trust me, the results are beyond this world. The results are even beyond your own expectation. So I will implore all of you, as you are watching me now, that for you to excel even much more than your expectation, you need to come to the yard and see how it's being done. TIP is the expectation. Thank you.
All right, welcome once again to TIP Annual Conference. Today is day 4, and I know that it's been amazing since we started. I will be your host for today, being the 4th day of this conference, the Parenting Advantage. You're welcome. I want to quickly say thank you to Coach Wendy and the entire TIP Academy team for giving me this opportunity and privilege to host. I do not take this for granted. I say big thank you. And also permit me to say a big shout out to all parents and everyone who has stayed glued here since Monday. You are the real deal. So you're welcome. If you've been here since we started, I'd like to see your comments and your emojis. And if the fire emoji, exactly, the fire emoji. And if you've been here, if you were here yesterday, throughout yesterday's sessions, I also like to see your comments. What was your take home? What did you learn from yesterday's sessions? We had five insightful, impactful, amazing sessions yesterday. The session with Oluwatoyin Obo, Uncle Sele Elizabeth Mildovido, and also Uncle Uve. And finally, yesterday we had a session with Dima Mobi. What was your take home? What did you learn? I'd like to see that in the comment section. I also want to see your fire emojis. All right, here since day one. Woo! Alero, God bless you. And then I know you've been having a great time learning. I call it this is knowledge feast. You're welcome. For me, when I summarized yesterday, my takeaway from yesterday, the 5 sessions, was that there is no best place to parent from like the place of knowledge. It is best to parent from the place of knowledge, not fear. Yes, I see your comment. Don't leave your kids in fig leaf. Exactly. That was powerful. That was from Uncle Celeste session. Thank you so much. Thank you. Today is another day 4. Wow. And today we are having another 4 power packed sessions. 4. We're having a session with Chedozie Eze. We're having another session with Chinyere Obina. We're having another session with Auntie Etima Ume. And we're having another session with Temilolu Okeowo. Please get seated, get ready. Today is another day to learn. I see that. Happy 5. Exactly. You were really here. We had a good time yesterday. And today is another day for a good time to learn. Yeah, like I said, it's been a great feast of knowledge. We've been feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding. But now look at this. Who likes to be fed just in a feast? Nobody. Who wants to feed today, feed this week, and then wait for another great feast? Nobody. So I want to tell you that the inner circle is the place to be. The inner circle is where you get fed every day. So many things have been said these 3 days, and today is the 4th day. And so many more things you will hear, so many more knowledge to grab, to gain. But then the inner circle is where a lot of the things you have had is being broken down for you to understand better. You get to understand the principles, you get to understand the processes, you get to understand a whole lot of things in the inner circle. Those of us in the inner circle hear these things from a different perspective. We hear these things differently because we've been taught and we are learning. It's a great time to join the inner circle. Just small money, 50,000. Don't say it's big. Divide it by 12 months, then you will know that it's not even up to what you spend on data you used to watch those reels that add no value to your parenting journey. All right, you know results don't lie. It's time to take a review from the inner circle to let you know what's happening there. All right, a review.
Good morning, parents from all over the world. I joined TIP December 2021. I got to know about the Intentional Parenting Academy when there was a conference last year. I decided, after listening to all the speakers, almost all the speakers, and of course Coach Wendy, I made a decision to be part of it. I had always looked for, wanted the best for my children. I exactly knew what I wanted, their end to be. What I would say is my end goal, after I have brought them to an age where they can be on their own. But I did not have the knowledge. I knew what I wanted, but the gap was the knowledge. And so by the time I listened to Coach Wendy, different webinars she has, she facilitates on Tuesdays and Thursdays on the 2 social media, Instagram and I think YouTube. I made a decision to be part of it, and for me it has been the best.
All right. Thank you, thank you. You're welcome once again. I can see the comment section booming with lots of feedback from yesterday's session. Today, we are going to be having our first session for the day with Chedozie Eze, and he'll be taking us on a very wonderful topic. Understanding the 7 advantages your child needs to thrive. Do you want your children to thrive? Hey, Chiedozie Eze, it's here to let us know. All right, let's have his bio as we move on.
Chidozie Eze is a personal development coach for teenagers and young people. He is also an entrepreneur with experience in human resource, logistics, and supply chain management. Chidozie is a public speaker, trainer, and writer. He is the author of Teenager of the Bible, Bible Lessons for the Contemporary Teen, Game Plan, a Life Plan Workbook for Young People, My Book of Affirmations, and three other ebooks on personal development. He is a graduate of electrical and electronics engineering and certified safety professional. He has also received advanced leadership certifications from several institutions and a leadership award from the Akwa Ibom State Government for his contributions to the MDGs advocacy project in the state. For over 10 years, Chidozie has had experience in the nonprofit sector with a focus on youth development, communications, and strategic leadership. He is the founder of Teen Success Academy, a coaching outfit equipping young people with tools for personal discovery, confidence, and success. Chidozie conducts seminars and training for young people, parents, and teachers. He is the host of the 360 Success Bootcamp, a 1 month virtual bootcamp coming up in August with the theme Thrive, training highly resourceful individuals with value and excellence. He is also the host of a podcast on leadership and personal development titled King Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the TIP Annual Conference, Chidozie Eze.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome, Coach
Thank
Chedoze.
you.
We're happy to have you
Thank you.
here,
Very
and we
pleased.
know we will be having a great time with you. But before you start, I'd like to know from you, how has
Mhm.
this conference been? Let's hear from you.
Well, I've labeled the TIP. Thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. The TIP annual conference is your parenting MBA.
Yeah.
In a short 1 week. It's everything you can get from um, an MBA in parenting. So you want to, if you have not been here from the beginning, amazingly, I've been here. I've been in virtually all the sessions from Monday.
Yeah.
And so I've been
Same
listening
here.
to all of the coaches and all of the sessions and everything coming out of this place. I think that every parent should be here.
All right. So over to you, sir. You have the floor. 40 minutes. Welcome.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you again for having me here. Thank you to everybody in the audience. I see the energy, a lot of energy in the comment section. I saw Chris Isoken, Abiola Salako, Nancy, Happiness, Esther, all persons there. I see you. Well done, well done. Celebrate you for being in this place. And big celebration to the TIP Academy, the TIP family. Hi, Tia Dekunle. I see all of the people here. I can see you guys. I see the fire emojis. Awesome, awesome. All right. I want to appreciate especially Coach Wendy Ologe for putting together the Parenting Harvard that is called TIP Academy. It's an amazing place to be. It's an amazing place to be from whichever perspective you look at it. So thank you very much, Coach Wendy. Thank you to the team at TIP, which I am privileged to be a part of. Thank you very much for all that you do in this space. So, welcome everybody. Fasten your seatbelts. We have a ride to take in that will last us about 40 minutes, and we're going to be looking at the advantages you need to give your children if they are going to thrive. Okay. And so first, I'm going to say this, that there's been a lot said in this conference beginning from Monday, and like our anchor for today rightly said, there'll still be a lot more to be said between now and the end of the conference on Sunday. So it puts a demand on you, it puts a demand on everyone that's listening on how to apply the things that we hear. So my job this afternoon is I'm just going to try to articulate a lot of the things that have been said in this conference, while I bring some maybe new, might not necessarily be new perspective, on the conversation about the parenting advantage. What do you need to do to give your child a parenting advantage? Hi, yes, Chidima Ugumba. I celebrate you, ma. I see your comment. Thank you so much for being here. Chidima Ugumba is my boss and my pastor's wife. So thank you very much, ma'am. I see you. God bless you for joining this conversation. Okay, so what are the things that you need to give to your children? What are the things that you need to set them on an edge for success, for thriving? I did set a definition for what I define as a successful teenager, because in the times that we live in, there are a lot of definitions for success, and you really want to be sure what you are gunning for. You really want to define exactly what you are about. Okay, so I define a successful child as the one that is, first of all, self-aware. So I'm big on helping young people develop self-awareness. I'm big on helping young people develop self-awareness. I have said that no young person, no individual anyways, can outperform the image that they have of themselves. So what is your child's image about themselves? Okay, so the successful child is self-aware. The successful child is also a confident and responsible child. Okay, confidence and responsibility is big on the equation for a successful child. Then that child is able to build relationships within the family and outside of the family, and then go on to take their place, understand their place, and take their place in the world. So in the context of this definition is what I'm going to be sharing with us, how and the advantages you need to provide for your children if they are going to thrive. I Let's first of all ask and answer a few questions. And the questions that I ask, I do not claim to have all of the answers. I'm just going to put it out to you and hope that you will use that to frame all the things that we are learning in this conference and even out of this session. Who will your children become in your absence? Who will your children become in your absence? The conversation about whether we should be raising obedient or independent children. I've often said that your goal as a parent is not to raise a child that obeys everything that you said. Because if obedience is your goal, you might as well be parenting a robot. It's easier to get a robot to do what you say because all you need is to program them. But when you begin to deal with an individual who has a will and an emotion, then the dynamics change. It means that they can question the things you say and they can verify whether what you're saying, and then they have a will, they have a choice to decide whether or not they want to go in the direction that they are setting. So question is, who will your child become in your absence? Who will your child become in your absence? 100 years from today, what will be said about the legacies that you leave? There's been a lot of talk about legacy in this conference, and I define legacy as the seed of greatness that is passed from one generation to the other. So legacy is generational, parenting is generational. The hurry that a lot of us in this generation have found ourselves to do certain things is neither here nor there, because in that hurry we miss out the critical and important factors in building foundations that make for success. There are foundations that create success. And so if you're building a foundation believing that what you're building is a 5-story building and a 16-story building, the foundations are going to change. So if you're building for one generation, if you're building for yourself, the things that you're going to put in that foundation will definitely be different if you're building for your children, your grandchildren, and the generations that follow them. So in the first session of this conference, PK rightly said to us that the future is 30. And so permit me to, tweak that question I asked. I said 100 years from now. So 30 years from now, 30 years from now, where will your children be? How will they thrive? Where will you be? Will you be in the picture? Definitely not. Even if you're still alive, you're not going to be in the picture of that person that you have raised. That person that you have raised is going to be their own adults, their own parents, and things like that. So what legacies are you putting in place to ensure that these things are going to outlive you, the things that you are building today? Question number 2 is, and this is very critical, if your child had a choice, would they choose you? If your son, your daughter had a choice, will that child choose you as their parent? And I'll give you a very classical example. It came out in the news very recently, the world's richest man. His child just turned 18, and he is it a he or a she now? You know, he had a child, he has a child. Sha. The child turned 18, and after the 18th birthday, the child went to court and say, I no longer want to be identified with you as my father, and I want to change my gender from one to another. And so put yourself in that place. The day your child can afford financially, legally, everything that it takes to live a life independent of you, will they still choose you to be in their life? Everything that you are building, everything that you are building, are you building to have a child that is going to be responsible, independent, that is going to be aware of themselves and able to find their place in the world? If outside of you, they cannot define who they are, then we need to re-examine the processes that you have engaged in raising your children. If your child had a choice, yes, critical question. If your child had a choice to choose their parent, would he choose you? And one day they're going to have that. You can do certain things that you do today is because they yet do not have the choice. One day they're going to have that choice. That is the biggest thing that makes God God and makes love love. Love is not love if I cannot choose. For God so loved the world and whatever he did, and then he leaves the decision in your care. So you love your child so much and you do all these things you do for them. Powerful. If you give them an option to choose, what do you think they're going to choose? That is something you should keep at as we continue to have this conversation. And PK also told us what is coming will come. All these fear parenting and all these things that we do, not just in parenting, in society as a whole, fear mongering. What is coming will come, no matter how you fidget about it, no matter how much you try to prevent it, no matter how, what is coming will come. But question is, when it comes, will it meet you prepared? What you are building today in your children, are you building your children to prepare for what is coming? Are you building your children to prepare for what is coming? And if you live in Africa and Nigeria, I think that we have an advantage. We have an advantage to see what has come to other parts of the world and to prepare adequately for when it will reach the shores. And should I say when it will reach the shores of this part of the world? Because it is here. The question is when it will become as brazen as it is in all of the societies across the world. So a lot of knowledge flying. There's a lot. I also want to say that because one of the greatest challenges of living in the 21st century is the challenge of an abundance of knowledge. We have so much knowledge that it has become both a blessing and a burden. The abundance of knowledge in the 21st century is both a blessing and a burden. Now you have access to unlimited knowledge. Question is, how do you apply what you hear? It is said that an average young person today consumes knowledge in 24 hours that is equivalent to the amount of knowledge that their great grandfathers were consuming some 300-400 years from today. Imagine that what it took 3 generations behind us, an entire lifetime to learn. Your children have access to that information in a space of 24 hours. That is not so much of a blessing. And I think it was Uncle Lope mentioning sometime that, we have moved beyond availability of information to, can you provide wisdom and direction for your young people? Can you provide wisdom and direction for your children? So the ability to hear and attend the TIP conference is one thing. It's a blessing. It's good that we have the 10,000s and more persons that are streaming this conference live. But after now, what do you do with the things that you hear? That is the place of accountability. That is the place of mentorship. That is the place of coaching. That is the place of relationship and getting yourself into a network of persons that can help you galvanize the knowledge that you have into action. So number one, I'm going to hope that my 40 minutes will be enough to share the things that I have here. But you can always find these when you get into the space for accountability, places like the inner circle and things like that. So number one is vision. And as basic as this sounds, permit me to explain. Vision. Do your children, remember my definition of a successful child is the one that is self aware. Does your child have a vision for their lives? Where we are going, why we are going, wherever we are going? Vision. Vision creates hope and expectation in the lives of young people. So, what is the hope for your child's future? You know, a lot of young people have issues with connecting today to tomorrow. It's really difficult, even for adults, to make that connection between today and tomorrow. Like, how do we go from where we are today? How is this maths, English, science that I'm learning today? How does it connect to tomorrow? What exactly is the meaning of that? And they're not wrong for asking those questions. In fact, it is legitimate. Even adults have those questions and they don't have answers to it. But if you are in that place, one of the gifts that you can give to your child is the gift of a vision. Why is this family? Why is the family? Why is me? Why am I here? Who am I? And things like that. Because until then, you cannot really articulate life without a vision. Leadership across every sphere of society, even beyond family, is a wasted effort if there is no vision. Vision creates hope. Vision creates optimism. You want to raise children that are happy and are excited and looking forward to something for the joy that is set before them, then they can begin to organize today. Vision creates that perspective. Why are we here? What type of family do we want to build? Does your child understand exactly why you are the parent? You know, what are we trying to build? Apart from waking up in the morning, having breakfast, you go to work, I go to school, and everybody comes back. Exactly what tells is the content of that routine and what is the purpose of that routine. What kind of family? What type of family are we trying to build? Are we trying to build a family of kings? Are we trying to build a family of businessmen? Are we trying to build a family of whatever? But you must articulate vision for your life, for your family. Your child will need this foundation to develop their own personal vision. Your child is going to need that family vision that you are able to create if they're going to develop their own family. So we're talking to young people about individual vision, individual perspective, but they cannot connect it. When they go home, they cannot connect it. Okay, why am I the way that I am? Why am I doing the things? Why is my father, why am I talking vision? Why are you teaching me vision? My father does not understand what they're talking about. Why are you teaching me vision and purpose and all of those things? And my parents are not there. They are able to follow your lead while they connect with their individuality. That's what vision does for young people. They can follow your leadership, but also make a connection with their individuality. Let me run quickly. Number 2 is culture. Culture, 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 our way of life in this family. How do we talk? How do we give instructions? How do we disagree at home? When I do not agree with what you're saying, sir, how do I express that I do not agree with what you're saying? How do we apply and implement consequences at home? All these things form culture. The culture of what is your family culture? How do you give instructions, for instance? How do you give, let me give a typical example. Are you that type of parent that when your child asks you, Mommy, where should I keep this cup? And you look at the child and say, come and keep it here. You know, it seems that's why I said these things might seem simple, but then you are confusing the person that you're raising. That guy is asking a genuine question, and you throw your answer in one crazy way. I say, Junior, as you're going to the kitchen, make sure you break that plate. You're trying to tell him not to break the plate, but you think that by telling him make sure you break the plate, that that's how he's going to correct. And then the day he comes back and the plate is broken, you twist the story and produce another brand of discipline in your house. What is your family culture? Children want clarity. I think there's been some talk about clarity in this conference. Children love clarity, and it is the place of the parent to provide clarity for the children. So vision Create cultures in your home. So vision plus culture is how you get self-governance. Vision plus culture equals self-governance. I know they didn't tell you that there was mathematics in parenting. Welcome to the maths of parenting. Vision plus culture is self-governance. You're trying to raise. Remember, I asked the question: what is your child going to do in your absence? Who will they become in your absence? If you have set a vision and you have set a culture, you have installed in your child what it takes to govern themselves with or without your interference. So this is where we're going, and this is how we behave. So when I meet circumstances, because you're never really going to prepare your child for everything that they are going to face in life. Things are going to keep changing, things are going to keep evolving over time. But you see, the one that has stability is the one that has wisdom and knowledge. So help your children define the vision for the family, define the vision for themselves, and help them define their personal culture, the family culture. And that's how you're going to create people who can govern themselves independently. That's how you're going to create people who can think. That's how you're going to create people who can go outside and take responsibility and be confident in the decisions that they are coming up with. But you see, you're not even confident in the abilities of a child to take decisions because you have not installed anything inside of them to create those decisions. Let's move on a little bit. What number is this now? That should have been number 1 or whatever. Number 3, right? Spirituality and faith. I needed to highlight this very, very importantly. How do you define meaning in your life? How do you define meaning in your life? Spirituality and faith, two things must be present if you're going to do this: relationship with God and a connection with a spiritual community. Relationship with God and a connection with a spiritual community. Let me explain, because when I say spirituality and faith, some persons here being a member of a church and going to one place where they pray. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about young people who have the ability and understanding of their faith and the ability to practice, and the ability to practice that faith. Let me share something on this call with you, if you will permit me, in a few short minutes. There is a study that was done. This study, I think, is in 2018, but I'll just read it. I wanted to just make a reference to it, but I think I should read it to you. This study was done in Stanford University. Stanford, is it University or College of Education, something like that. And the study stated that the most religious kids do best in school. It's not enough to quote it. I'm just going to read a few lines out of it. It says, adolescents who practice religion regularly perform better in school than those adolescents who do not. The study was performed by Dr. Ilana Horowitz at Stanford Graduate School of Education. The paper explores differences among grade point average (GPAs) of public school students based on their levels of religiosity. Now, a particular line drew my attention when I was looking at this report. It says that the researcher bucketed the students into 5 different levels. Number 1 is abiders, adapters, assenters, avoiders, and atheists. And I'll explain. She found that the most religious kids who had the highest GPAs were the abiders. And here's the definition for the abiders. The abiders are those who display a high level across all measured dimensions of religiosity, and they abide by their faith in a classic institutional sense. I'm interested in 2 groups of people. Leave the rest of them. I'm interested in the abiders and the avoiders. So I'm going to just go straight down and define who the avoiders are. And you're going to find a lot of your young people and even our parents falling into this category. He said the avoiders, true to their nomenclature, they avoid religious involvement and broader issues of the relevance of religion in their life. Unlike the atheists, they believe in God, but they participate far less in the activities. You know, I'm a Christian, but all these things, I know they take them too seriously and things like that. You had better not be there in the first place. And so that's why the question has been, why is it that Nigeria is such a praying nation and yet a lot of things have not changed? Is we just have a nomenclature for what it is that we do, but we don't essentially pay attention to the tenets of the things that we say we subscribe to. So question, are you raising an abider or are you raising an avoider? If both of them actually believe in God. So if you're going to arm your children with what it takes to succeed in this age, you better arm them with an understanding of their faith. You better arm them with an understanding of their faith. I see a lot of young people who don't know their left from their right, who don't have esteem and confidence in the things that they believe. And so I was making a joke some time ago. I was talking to a group of teenagers, and I said, how is it that bad people are making good people feel bad for being good? It's an irony. Bad is supposed to feel bad for being bad. Good is supposed to feel good for being good. But there is an irony in today's generation where the bad is feeling good for being bad, and the good is feeling bad for being good. It doesn't, I'm even struggling to articulate that statement. It doesn't make sense. But the reason is because we have a generation of young people who just go to church because they were told to go to church. Nobody really sat them down to infuse in them the identity of what it means to practice their faith. So a relationship with God and a connection with a spiritual community is going to do your children so good in your absence. Install that, help them develop it and build up to the level that they can now live on their own. Your children should never feel bad, for being good. They should never feel bad for being the good kid in class. They should never feel bad for being the one that says the blessing or the prayer or whatever. And then one rascal out there is the one that is the champion of the campus. Number 4, am I right? Or 3, image and identity. Image and identity. Somebody asked a question in this conference: in whose image are you raising your child? In whose image are you parenting? We'll go back to the question of who you are and why you are. It's so big. I started also by saying that no young person can outperform the image they have of themselves. You're going to help your child to develop a concrete personal identity, one that cannot be shaken by the opinions of other people. Who are you? Why are you? Share your childhood experiences and how you got here. Share your childhood experiences. Among other things, the success of the cartoon industry, I'm reading from my notes now. Among other things, the success of the cartoon industry is tied to the ability to create superheroes out of the characters that they use. And then that connection forms the aspiration of your children. Ask your child why they're watching any particular cartoon that they're watching. It's because they feel a connection to Spider-Man. They feel a connection to whatever character that they feel that connection to. And then ask yourself whether in your home you are telling stories that help your children to form connections to the superheroes that they are in themselves. I share a quote. One of my mentors, Mr. Obo, was sharing something a few years ago with us, and he talked about the loss of stories in families, and he taught us about the loss of stories and the loss of adventures. I'm just going to lift exactly the quote. He said, when fathers stop telling stories, children struggle to create and to develop their hero's journey. And then there's a loss of genealogy. When children make no connection with ancestry, they permit me also to skate a little bit around single parenting. Whether you are the man that is single parenting or you are the woman that is single parenting, we see this more often with young people in this space, but even with the ones that have complete families, because you're not intentional about installing a healthy identity in your child. That child is going to struggle when children cannot make a connection about their ancestry, when children cannot make a connection about where we are coming from. I've always said parenting is a generational matter. The purpose of marriage, the purpose of raising a family is for generational success, not for a one-time thing. Any human being can succeed on their own. You probably don't need a family to do that. The moment you get into a family institution, you are building a generational thing beyond yourself. And so when you get to generation 1, 2, 3, and that connection is lost, What happens is that the generation that loses that connection have to start afresh. And if your children really need to start afresh when you go, then they were better off without you. Why should your children start afresh after you are gone? Why should your children start afresh even when you are here? There's such a thing as absent parenting. You are just there, but you're really not there. Image and identity is the role of a parent to install that in the life of their children. I don't know how much time I have left, so I'm just going to, move on to the next point there. Opportunities to be challenged. Raise your children. Intentionally create opportunities for your kids to face challenges. Stop being a rescue mom or a rescue dad. You're not a Nigerian politician. All of a sudden, a lot of our politicians are now rescuing things from where we don't know. Stop trying to rescue everything. The proof of passion is pursuit. So when pursuit is missing, passion is lost. My child is not motivated to do anything. It's not, no, you have removed the motivation by clearing the road. You're the helicopter. You always show up before the trouble arrives. Ever present help in time of trouble. That's not your office. Stop trying to rescue your children from every challenge that they have. Don't be a rescue parent. Don't be a rescue parent. Allow children to face. In one of the sessions here, somebody alluded to this when she shared about the culture of the lion in the jungle. If you ever seen that movie, I always teach from it, The Lion King, and you see Mufasa trying to teach Simba something. One time he will call Zazu, the king, the palace newscaster, whatever that guy is, and say, Zazu, pretend to be the prey, and let's train this guy on how to catch prey and things like that. You need to consciously, intentionally allow your children to get into situations that test their ability to problem solve. Allow your children to get it, or when they get themselves into these places, your job is to watch and make sure that they don't get into life-threatening situations. Your job is not to go there and rescue the person out of that place. No. Challenges sharpen our decision-making skills. You know why you go to apply for a job and they ask you for 5 years experience? Is that we want to know whether you have been trying this thing for 5 years, and so you must have solved certain problems, you must have encountered certain challenges, and so we can draw from that experience to put you in this new position where you're going to succeed. So you're going to train your child who is going to live a life into their 60s and 70s and even beyond. You don't want to allow them in their early years to master how to solve problems. The star guy from your Bible, David, is the guy that they left at the backside of the bush to be raising sheep and all of those kind of things. The day that a national challenge arrived on the shores of Israel, what he came there to tell them was, the reason I can challenge this guy is because I've had experience with dealing with some other things that are as serious as he is, or even more deadly than he is. I have practiced using my slingshot, even though he never told them he was going to use a slingshot, which is another conversation about teaching young people how to use strategy. I've done this before. So this guy here will probably just pretty much take care of him. Help them to solve their own problems by themselves. Just give them that opportunity. It helps us with decision making. Challenges sharpen our ability to navigate obstacles and to formulate strategy. Help them to be in that space where they can learn to solve problems. We have teenagers today who are committing suicide because somebody broke their heart, committing suicide because they failed one exam in school and things like that. That puts a question on how we're raising people, whether they have ability to go through adversity, whether they have the ability and the capacity to solve problems on their own, whether they have tenacity, whether they have mental resilience, whether they have grit. Yes, ever-present help in times of trouble. She is the title of God, but some parents want to be the ever-present help for their children. But let me move on and talk about knowledge. It has been overflowed, not overflowed, but it has been constantly repeated in this place that you cannot parent from a place of ignorance. But this is not about you this time around. It's about exposing your children and teaching and inculcating in them the desire and the commitment to learn, the commitment to go after knowledge and personal development on their own. When I come into your home, what does it look like? Does your house inspire me to want to learn, or does your house inspire me to want to watch TV? Every one of us is guilty of furnishing our house. You know how we set the chairs around that small altar in the center of the house, and what is there is entertainment, TV, and home theater, and any other thing you have there. I visited a senior friend of mine one time, and I asked to use the restroom. When I walked in, this is many years ago, I walked into the restroom. I was confused. People were outside, so I just gingerly came out and looked again before I entered, because I walked into a restroom and the whole place looked like library. And inside toilet, there's book here, there's book here, and there's a lampstand here and things like that. Then I looked and I saw the toilet where it's okay. So what does your environment inspire your children to do? Are you inspiring them to go after knowledge, or are you inspiring them to go after entertainment, or are you inspiring them to go after what exactly? But knowledge. Somebody said in this conference, preserve the curiosity of your child until they are at age 6. But you know what we do to children that age is that we shut them down. A typical 4-year-old will ask somewhere close to 300 or 400 questions every day. In fact, it is said that by the time a child gets to age 5, they probably have asked about 40,000 questions. And if they keep hearing no, and no from all of those questions, you shut them down. And then when they become teenagers, there's a rebound. They now want to test everything. You have been saying no for the past 13, 15 years. They will now send down the rain. So as early as possible, but it is never too late. The fact that you are here, it means that you can still, as at today, begin to equip and design your environment to encourage. Somebody said most people get inspiration from the restroom. Let's leave that conversation today. But I get you. I get what you're saying. So I shared something a few days ago, and I said a lot of parents work hard, and you ask them why they are working hard. Say, I want to give my children the things that I did not have the opportunity to have. And so it's fine that you want to give your children the things that you did not have. Interesting. As you are doing that, start to teach your children the things that you did not know. That is a more important place to be. Stop giving your children the things that you never had and start teaching them the things that you never knew. Oh, I wish I knew this 10 years ago. Don't worry. There's somebody 10 years younger that you should be telling that in now. You're not yourself. I wish I knew this when I was a child. There is a child now that needs that information and needs that knowledge, and then needs the experience that you have gained from not knowing that thing. That is the more important place and strategy to be implementing than going to buy them all the things that you never had when you were a kid. Because in the absence of knowledge, they will lose everything that you hand over to them. It has also been proven that a lot of first-time millionaires are unable to translate their wealth, billionaires, whatever you call them. A lot of first-time billionaires are unable to translate that wealth into the next generation. It's simple. If you're not teaching how you came to where you are giving the things you never had. One day they will shut down all the things that you built and return back to where you were. I made mention about your children having to start afresh from the scratch. That is not something you want for them. That is not something you want for them. I'm trying to see some persons in the comment section. All of the feedback. Thank you. I see you. I don't know which number now. I think maybe number 6. Yes. Priorities. Teach your children how to set priorities. A lot of adults have this challenge. You have 1,000 things to do, but you don't know where to start. Helping your kids to prioritize their everyday life is a skill they will need throughout the existence. Whether you die today, tomorrow, everybody needs the skill for certain priorities. I said also that the abundance of knowledge in this generation is both a blessing and a burden. So you have 1,000 things to learn. Which one and where should you begin to learn? You see, but if we already had a vision of where we're going to, it also helps us tell us where we will learn. Because, no knowledge is a waste, but some knowledge is a waste of time. Let me say that thing. No knowledge is a waste, but there are some knowledge that you go after, you are wasting your time. You don't need that thing. The time you should have used to learn something more relevant to your destiny and to your future, you are using it to learn something that has no bearing as to where you're going in life. So help your children understand how to set priorities. Kids need to learn prioritizing if they are going to achieve long-term goals. Teach them to ask questions like why. Okay, why? Why are we there? 1, 2, 3, 4 things on my list. Because your why is what determines the level of importance of all of those things that you have on your list. Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to go to the club on a Friday night? Why do I need to go to school? Why do I need to go to the library? Why do I need to go here and there and there? Help them to ask, encourage them to ask why. But in most of our homes, young people are not allowed to ask why. You just have to do it because mommy and daddy said you should do it. Mommy and daddy said you should do it is not a good reason to do anything. Mommy and daddy said you should do it. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, we have been looking for you for the past 48 hours. The Jesus son asked the mother, did you not know where I should have been by this time? I should have been doing my father's business at this time. And I imagine a lot of us parents hearing that question from our 12-year-old child. It is the back of the hand you will use to answer. But thank God you are in Intentional Parent Academy. Ask why. Teach them to ask why. Guide them on completing their own task. When they have little tasks at home, the age will now determine how you implement those things. When you want to guide them, this is what you do first, this is what you do next, and then this is what you do afterwards. Prioritization. Important, urgent, important, not urgent. A lot of young persons, because of the way the development of their brain is coming on, the entertainment part of the brain is actually first developed, and so they will usually want to follow through with entertainment when they should be doing. So I often tell parents when we do things like executive function that you are your child's assistant brain, because you have a fully formed brain and they don't. So you're going to come in the place of decision making and then teach that as a skill. Guide them to completing tasks. Help them to write down and, teach them to write. Teach them to write. Write, okay, this is what we are doing for the week. Write it down. Write it down. The moment you can visualize this your goal, visualize this your aspiration, then we can begin to check whether they are really relevant, important, or not. Create also playtime for them. Play is a big part of learning. Create playtime. Help them to see their big picture, and things like that. I don't know if I got to number 7, because I was going to share just 7 of them. There are quite a number of these things that we have been learning. Like I said, it's a harvest of knowledge this 1 week in the Intentional Parent Conference. But after you have learned all of these things, how are you going to build? The next one I'm going to share with you is relationships. I think that is number 7. Relationships. Relationships. What advantage are you going to give to your child that will enable them thrive long after you are not in the picture? Or even when I say not in the picture, I don't necessarily mean that you have died. I'm saying that you are not in the picture. Parenting is a tenure-based office. You can be mom and dad for life. You are a parent. It's an office. You have an 18-year tenure to be in that office. You're going to implement these things and then go and become an elder statesperson and be looking at this nation that you have built, whether that nation is succeeding or it is not. Relationship. Esther Mansa says more. No, our time is up and we have to go. Okay. But relationship, let me quickly wrap up on relationship. Two perspectives to this is that the gift of yourself It's something that you must give to your children. A lot of children, young people, do not have a gift of their parents in their lives. The parents are alive, but they were better off not there. The gift, I made mention about children wanting to make connection to their ancestry. Somebody hosted me on an interview somewhere recently, and they were asking me, all of you coaches, you people talk for a living and things like that. I said, no, let me correct the impression. I don't talk for a living, actually. I listen for a living. I just sit down there and I let this guy, a parent, I was talking to a child, and the parent asked me, this child, you just spent this time with him, that did not happen, that did not happen. I say, Madam, I've not even started working with your child, though. I'm just 30 minutes. I let the guy wear himself out. He talked and talked and talked. And when he's done, say, are we done? Okay, we'll come back for another chat some other time. And then he comes back, he talks. I learned from um, somebody I consider the wisest person to ever live on earth is Jesus Christ. And I learned that Jesus hardly ever answered questions in all his lifetime. You want to provide all the answers to your children. They don't need your answers. And that is why they cannot solve problems. So you ask a Jesus Christ, where should we put this money? He said, give me the money. What did they write on top of the money? He throws back your question to you. Jesus, you do not care that we are perishing. He said, where is your faith? And then you have to go and find the answer to that question. Because when you provide all the answers, you rob your children the opportunity to gain knowledge, to gain wisdom. And so you reframe that challenge before the child. And that is what you do in the place of relationship, because I'm talking about relationships now, and what you do when you spend time with your children. It's not lecture, carry whiteboard. Today we are learning executive function. Did you hear me? Write it down in the topic. Nah. A gift of yourself. They just want to through their questions. And as they are throwing it, we're bouncing back the questions and we're bringing the ideas and things like that. Because when you provide all the answers, like I said, you rob the child the opportunity to gain wisdom. And something struck me. One of my teenagers asked me a question recently about puberty, and he said, we're doing goal setting. And he said, there's one weird goal that I have. I don't know if I should tell you. I said, talk. If you want to tell me, fine. If you don't want to tell me, no wahala. After much talk, and I said that my goal is I want to get a girlfriend. I said, okay, interesting. And you think it's weird, right? He said, yes. Okay. I don't know whether it's weird. I don't know whether it's not weird. But let's ask why. Because I've taught them to ask the question, why? So let's ask why. And then we realize that we don't even know why we set that goal. I say, okay, we don't know why. But there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not weird. Okay. So then we can now go on to set other goals that have to do with that. So question is, we're first of all going to define who this girl is going to be. Qualities, characteristics, attributes, and all of this, and we'll keep it in one place. Then we're going to move on and we're going to define how are we going to find her. We now have tasks before we get to whether we will find the girl or not. Then when we define that, then we're not going to say two things. If we meet her and she tells us no, how do we prepare for that? Because rejection can set in. And so do we have enough? Okay, what if she says yes? What are we going to do when she says yes and things like that? And I can bet you this conversation is going to take us another whole month or two or more before we decide whether we're going to have that relationship or not. But you see, when your children come up to you and you have all the solutions already, because you have this set of rules that you have made up and you dish out like that, like cards, it doesn't work. Give your children the gift of yourself. Give your children the gift of you. And then sometimes they're going to bring questions that you genuinely do not have answers to. Be humble enough to say, this one, I really do not have an answer here, but we are working on it. I'm also interested in learning. And so this is how I would have gone about finding the answers if I were in your shoes. So, but since it's your question, I'm going to help you. Let's get in there and let's find the answers. No child will run away from you when you begin to guide them from this perspective and, with all of these resources. But that is one part of the relationship equation. The other part is guiding them to build relationships that are strategic to their destiny and the fulfillment of that destiny on earth. So networks, what kind of networks are you helping your children to get into? Somebody said the people you are calling friends today are the connections and the mentors your children are going to have for tomorrow. So you can keep gathering irresponsible people in your networks. You are teaching your children that, we can make do with any kind of friends. Talk to your kids about the power of networks and get involved in who their friends. I tell parents, if your child has never thought about bringing their friends home, you probably don't know your child. Not probably, you don't know that child. If your child has never told you that there's this friend that needs to come to the house, or there's this other friend that he or she needs to go to their house, you don't know your child. So get involved in the space and helping them build power networks. Network is money, network is help, network is your safe space when you need to cry, because there's not every cry that they will bring to the house. There are certain kind of cry that they don't come to cry to you. Network is mentorship. Network is the coaches that you set around them. Relationships is key. Relationships is key. I am so well aware that I've exhausted my time on this call, and I'm going to round up now and hope that my anchors and Coach Wendy is somewhere in the backstage waiting to take over from here, because I know there's someone else coming to see. But these things are the things that you need to give your children the advantage that they will succeed with in the end. Remember that I said, if your child had a choice, like the billionaire's child that made a choice at 18, if your child had a choice, would they choose you? Would they come again for you? You know how I love how romantic people like to write, in our next life, I'd like to choose you again and again. In your next life, will your child like to come through you? Would they say that everything that I've become or that I will become is because of the advantage I have for being parented by this set of human in my life? Thank you very much. God bless you for listening to me.
Amazing. Amazing.
Coach Wendy, are you there? Can I be
Amazing.
heard? Okay. Okay.
Ha, aha, aha, aha. Wow. Thank you so much, Coach Coach Edozie. God bless you. It's been wonderful. You said you
My
gave
pleasure.
7. I got 8. Oh, I didn't know about other people. I got 8. I got vision, culture, spirituality, image and identity, opportunity to be challenged, knowledge, priorities, and relationships. So I got 8. But I don't know. It's been amazing. Please, let's fill the comment section with our comments, our emojis. What did you get from this session? And then please just get water and drink. Calm down and prepare your questions. I think Coach Edozie will be able to take our questions as we take another review from the inner circle. I tell you, the inner circle is where you hear this and many more. For those of us in the inner circle, we are hearing these things in a different way. I tell you, we're hearing it in a very different way. So let's take our review. Coach, can we take a review or we move on? All right, so let's take
Hello,
our
my
review.
name is Chinwema Essien. I'm a wife, a mother of 3 adorable children. I'm also a professional nurse practicing in the UK and a member of the Inner Circle. I joined the Inner Circle in December 2021. That was last year. I followed the Intentional Parents Academy on Facebook for some years now, but I had always wanted to be in the Inner Circle just because, yes, that's the powerhouse of the academy. So come December, it didn't look like the right time to be in the night school because a lot was going on in my life. I had a sick son who ended up having a surgery. I had a husband whose business was going through challenges, and that was affecting him and putting a strain on our marriage. But I kept on, hung up in that group and continued to feed my mind with all that is being taught there. And trust me, it transformed me as a person. It helped me, equip me with the skills and the knowledge that I needed to navigate the trying times of my life. It's affected every area of my life, my children, my marriage. Everything we're taught in the Inner Circle just has a way of transforming you as a person, and then the ripple effect of transforming others around you. And trust me, it's been an awesome experience that I cannot look back. I don't have any regrets. And I speak to you out there today as a parent. If you're still asking, what is it about the Inner Circle? The inner circle is the expectation. Coach Wendy is the expectation. You join it, and then you can speak for yourselves, because no matter how little you try to practice what is taught in that inner circle, it brings about phenomenal transformation, trust me. Things that you don't expect, things that you don't know. It has helped me to be able to read more than I do before. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Do we have questions now? Any
Um,
questions?
I don't think we can see questions in the comment section, but it was as usual. It was a very insightful session. So maybe insightful because for me, when I hear my people say some things, I'm like, who are these people? And interestingly, this morning, so I usually would say, where are they getting all these things from? When Coach TY was speaking yesterday, I was almost thinking, was it me talking? Was it how is it playing out? At the time, I was afraid, and so when Coach D was talking, there are a lot of conversations myself and Uncle D have had in the past. We're always having conversation. It's part of my team. And this morning I posted something and I said relationship is the currency of the wealthy as well as the
True.
currency of the family. Unfortunately, we do not know. So we play down on relationships. So when Koji was speaking, I got all the points, all right? My book is full. I'm a very good listener. And he was talking about the relationship of the gift of giving yourself to your children. It was just amazing. It was just amazing for me. And then, there was also a part where, in fact, I noted it down and I said something about sharing a story. Where he was talking about let your children ask why. So this afternoon, I was having a conversation with my son, who is 12 going to 13. I'm always having a conversation. Sometimes it's not even a conversation. Sometimes I'm listening. Many of the
True.
times. Because
True.
this time, what you want to share is wisdom, not just information.
Yeah,
Like one of the speakers said, these children have enough information.
information.
So there are some things that we've put up to talk about the online space and all of that. Their dad and I were going to start up this conversation, but somehow he started a conversation with me, and it was a very good opportunity to soundboard what he knew about that particular area of the online space. It was interesting. He told me all of the things that he was insightful for me, more insightful than him. And he was sharing how they had access, online gaming, the people they meet online, and all of the stories that they tell in school and all of that. And he said to me while he was speaking, I was quiet. You need to practice the place of quietness in parents, especially when you are dealing with preteens and teenagers. If you are not quiet, you will miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
was listening to him, and at the time he said, one of my friends said he felt left out because he doesn't play online games, while every other person was having a conversation. And I asked the question. I said, "How did you feel?" I didn't come out to say, "Oh, you must stand at this time and preach to them and tell them it's not." No, 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 no,
Because
no,
you're a
no,
woman of God.
no, no, no. At that time, I just listened, and he said,
Yeah.
"Not particularly. I just know why I don't get to." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yes, I understand that playing an online game without supervision can do this, can do that, can do that." And he was the one telling me. And he said, I tried to talk to one of my friends, who was thinking alike, who was thinking like me. And my friend was able to understand at that time. Let me tell you how I felt. Now, this is me, the intentional mother.
Parents.
Yes. The unintentional part of me, the unconscious part of me, wanted to start preaching. Ah, All those people, oh, what they want to say? What do they want to say? You just go on and on and on and on. Do you know what my son calls it? Plenty talk.
Too much talk.
It doesn't work. The day
Yeah.
my son said it, I was like, huh? He said plenty talk. At the time, he just said, when people are talking a lot, mommy, I just hear da 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 da. I don't really listen. Unfortunately, unfortunately, many parents are not listening.
Yeah.
But it taught me something when Coach D was teaching. Like I often say, he who knows why is
Has an
greater
edge.
and bigger than he who knows how.
Mm.
Don't just teach your children how. And unfortunately, that's what we're doing. We're teaching them how. How. They don't know why they are doing what they are doing. And
Let,
another
let me
part,
let me comment there a little bit, Coach, if
yes,
you would
please.
let me. I
Oh,
mentioned the
sure.
issue about spirituality. I mentioned the issue
Mhm.
about spirituality, and a lot of people are not asking the questions of why do we pray, for instance. So I have teenagers hooked up on that for, and so the moment you don't define why you pray, all of us have that experience of when you were growing up, you said, before I get to the door, let NEPA bring light. And that is your definition of spirituality, because NEPA brought light actually when you got to the door,
Mhm.
and NEPA
Mhm.
brought light. So you are not a man of God because the NEPA can now hear and obey the things that you say. But then if you raise kids who grow up to pray for things, then you have not raised spiritual people.
And
You've not raised
unfortunately,
discerning people.
that's what we're doing. We are
Yeah,
raising children the God of things. We are teaching
yeah.
our children the God of things. When I preach it, people say, are you born again? We're teaching our children the God of things. And that's why when our children leave the shores of the
When they
things,
go to an environment
they
where
become
things are not
surprised
provided
because
by God,
your God,
then they question it.
exactly, that's the only thing your God does. Provide cars, provide houses, provide, holidays, provide. And once those things can be given on a platter, because that's what you've given them, the children cut off. They don't understand your God. I've said this over and again. All this dragging your children for 10 services, that is not Christianity.
Glory,
You keep your child from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's not Christianity. Yeah, these same children don't understand, God. I've been
did we
talking
not hear
lately.
yesterday that there are cultists now leading fellowships on campus?
Aha! We were here
Exactly.
yesterday. Of
Yeah.
nowhere. In fact, in the recent times, I've been teaching the parents in the inner circle that you need to teach your children about Christian apologetics. If your child is not learning about Christian apologetics in this time, you're not raising a spiritually conscious child. You're not. You're raising a child who will be, we don't even understand what it means to be a Christian. It is unfortunate, but hey, or to be even a Muslim, whatever faith that we're
Whatever
teaching,
faith you
we're teaching,
practice,
yes, we're teaching it, we're
they are
teaching it.
abiders and they are avoiders. They didn't
The
mention religion
fighters
there.
and the avoiders.
They didn't
And
mention
that was,
religion there.
yes, that was so much insight for me. The abiders I don't think we have any Christian. And another part that made a lot of that connected was the place of image and identity. And Coach Dozier would say, when father stopped telling stories, oh my God, he hit me like back to back. All right. And when he said it, I just flashed back. I was telling someone that I know the history of my family like I know my
True,
name. I've
true,
told
Yeah.
that story
true,
over and again.
true,
As in,
Yeah.
true.
I know where I come from. I know my great grandmother, the exploits that she made. I say that the Onyenezi men are great storytellers, starting from my father to his brothers to my grand uncles. You need to tell your children because I could connect with the fact that my great grandmother was a powerful woman. I understand what it meant to thrive as a woman in power. Amazing. So you can really connect a lot. There was also one of the speakers that said that, I think that was yesterday, Coach Tony said that because she heard stories about her
Yeah.
grandmother having the hands of
Mm-hmm.
a green hand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew that
Mm-hmm.
anything she does will succeed. See, we don't know the power in identity. There's a power, you know. Somebody said, so okay, there's a question. Dozie, I think this question is for you. I'm not the speaker today, so I will not answer.
Okay. What's the question here? Okay,
How
please.
do I
How do
achieve
I
so much?
achieve so much intentionally? I guess you want to write intentionality. When I have a partner who might undermine my efforts, especially as a wife. Okay. Parenting is about you. Let's establish that fact. Intentionality is about you. It's not about the next person. And I can understand when you say that somebody is undermining your efforts, that you have to bring your A game to the place. I can assure you that you were not here last year, the person asking this question. Somebody had to walk you through to the point where you're now listening to these conversations and then you're willing to make a decision on it. So you have to begin with yourself. Remember that I talked about choice. The moment we try to take away choice from people, we're trying to create something else. And so it will put a responsibility on your knowledge and your wisdom when you can convince me out of my stance. And how do you do that? Begin to implement the things that you know and get results. Nobody argues with results. You can
That's
argue
exactly.
with anything, you can't argue with a result. You can't take away. That's why one of the biggest forms of evangelism is testimony.
Mhm.
When the
So
person
true.
tells you, I slept and woke up and I saw a lion in my dream and I killed the lion, you cannot tell the person you did not kill the lion. You were not there. You cannot change that. So get your results, begin to work on yourself, begin to work on yourself and implement the things that you're doing. For instance, begin to um, create a healthier relationship between yourself and your children. I can assure you, your spouse is going to get jealous. And fathers are always wondering why children are closer to their mom than their fathers. The answers are quite straightforward. You are not present. You don't have a relationship. Relationship is the reason why a lot of us are on this call this afternoon. It's not because they bribed you to come or somebody or nothing. It's relationship. So the power of relationships is how you get buy-in from other people. It's a law of leadership. You have to get other people to buy into the things that you're doing. But hey, some persons will not buy in until they begin to see the results that is manifesting from the things that they are learning.
I,
That you that
I,
used to shout before, they are checking.
mm,
You are not shouting
mm,
again. Something has
yeah.
changed. Is
In,
yeah,
in,
that's
in
where
the
we
in
used to
the
learn
inner
it.
circle, they call it marketing the intentional parenting. There's a marketing
Of course,
system
of
to it.
course.
We don't
So
force
that
it,
that's it.
right? Yeah. And to end part of my learning, I also got the part, where Dozier came like he came like Bebuka in a very subtle manner. I know my people. I was waiting for him. He said, ever present help in the times of need. He said, it's not your office.
It's not your office, sir.
It's not your office. So you are not supposed to be rescuing your children at every point in time. This conversation on bailing out children, it's been a deep conversation we've been having. In fact, in the inner circle, we took a full course on why you should never
Never
bail out your
build your
child.
voice.
Never. And when we were done, the inner circle parents know if your child, because they are according to Coach Ebuka, your child forgot slippers. Let him walk with his bare legs now. What is the
Let
problem?
him go. Yeah.
you know, as hilarious as these conversations are, they are real issues. They are the real things, all right?
Exactly.
Dozier wrote something on his timeline one time. He said, there are stories that coaches will never tell you on a public call. There are
True.
stories I will
True.
share in the inner circle I will never share in the public side.
True.
Never ever. Because if I do, you will never be able to understand it. That story is not for you. That knowledge is not for you. It's not, you won't be able to conceptualize the knowledge at the point where you are. All right. And I usually will say that the parents who are already on a journey of knowledge are assimilating this conference differently. It's not, something
Exactly.
to you're assimilating it differently. A parent reached out to me and said, I wasn't in the inner circle last year. When I finished attending the whole session, I was down. I felt like my life was empty. And meanwhile, she's in the inner circle today, And she says, these messages are coming and I'm feeling fly. Like, oh wow, this is
Like
just
you're on some other level.
yes, where we are and all of that. So you need to actually take your knowledge to the next level. According to Coach Ebuka, anti-upgrade. We have left you there. You need to upgrade where you are. Thank you again, Coach Dozier. This has been an insightful, session. Vision, culture, spirituality, and faith. I'm wishing that we're going to have an opportunity. Of course, in the inner circle, I'm going to teach on spirituality and faith, and also teach on Christian apologetics to the parents before it's part of the curriculum in the year. Of course, it's a very deep conversation that we need to begin to relearn and also learn exactly how our spiritual life must go. And I want to say shout out to the Teen Success Academy, who's been a huge blessing to us and part of the system of the inner circle, in partnership in everything, which is led
Thank you
by
very
Coach
much.
Lucie. And we're very grateful. We're grateful to your team.
Thank
Whenever
you,
I
ma'am.
say that this conference has been heavily paid for, when I mean heavily, I mean every word. You do not want to know how much they have gone into this conference. You don't want to know. And I'm saying it, I'm sure the people in my team understand exactly what I mean. All right. There are some things that we have done in the background that we will never share. All right. For you to actually have this success that you're having today, all we want you to do is that you need to be grateful. You need to be grateful. You need to be thankful for the gift of the TIP annual conference. How do you do that? Go on your social media, look for Teen Success Academy. Follow Coach T, right? Or you find him on Kudi. Chiodeze Eze. He's the only one. You can
Yeah,
look
the only
look for
one,
him.
ma'am.
And you can also get his resource. I have it. We use it as devotional. Ebuka said something. He said one of the reasons why your children are struggling in your home, all right, is because they have outgrown your devotional. They've outgrown it. That Bible you are reading, it's no longer making sense. They've outgrown it. I know
Yeah.
when those wrote teenagers of the Bible, we use it as a devotional in my house. My children and I use it. See, you need to bring higher knowledge. If you don't have higher knowledge, your children are going to look at
True.
you up and down and
True.
just move because they
You
have
True.
just get tired
access.
of listening.
They have access to this knowledge you are copying and pasting. It's not copy and paste, my dear parents.
Mm.
Eh,
Mm.
It's wisdom. We're talking about
Mm.
wisdom. Your
Mm.
children want you to actually, share wisdom. They don't want you to share information. They're tired of the information. If the information, they can get information anywhere. Google is
True.
there. Dozier
True.
shared something. He said the thing we are assimilating in 24 hours are the things that our forefathers learned in years,
In their whole lifetime.
in their whole lifetime.
In their whole
So
lifetime is what we have
imagine
access
that.
to in 24 hours.
So your children are not interested in information. All those copy and paste, all those, you need wisdom. And wisdom is the principal thing. That's why the Bible says, in all you're getting, in
Get
all
it?
you're getting, you
Wisdom,
need to get
get
it.
wisdom.
Wisdom is the principal thing. And you need it on this journey as a parent. Please follow Coach Dozier. Coach Dozier is also hosting their annual online bootcamp for children between the ages of
8 and 18.
between the ages of 8 and 18. If you want to be part of the Teen Success Academy called Thrive. Thrive. Thrive is a big thing for us, me inclusive.
Mm.
Right? I
Mm.
was part of the creators of Thrive, and it is something was so impactful last year. You want your child to be there, let them do something. Ebuka said some children do not need one boot camp, they need like 3. After the first one, they enter the next
They
one.
go
After
another one.
the training has not been done. We need to actually wake up from this slumber. There's no time. We do not. It's
Mm.
foolishness to think you have the luxury of time. It's a foolish thing to think. All right.
Yeah.
It's arrogance, like Coach Tiwa said yesterday. It's arrogance to think that you have time. You don't have time. All right. So you need to get in. All right. So follow Coach Dozier Teen Success Academy on Instagram. Follow them right away. You will find him and get all of their details. If you want their direct detail, we're also going to share on the Telegram channel. Ensure that you're here. Bootcamp on Teen Success Academy, yes. It's an online bootcamp. You can access it anywhere. I'm going to have the opportunity to speak to you as a parent who will be attending the bootcamp for parents. All right. But it's for your children, for your teenagers.
It's for
Odozie also
teenagers.
is an amazing teens coach, all right, and can take your children. He's one of my partners in parenting. Me, I'm not afraid. I'm not like you people. I'm not afraid to say that I have bad. Yes, because I cannot. It's foolishness to think that only you can raise a
Oh,
children. It's a foolish
damn,
thing to think.
damn.
All right. And so I understand that there's a part for mentors to play. I understand that there's a part for coaching for my children. As soon as they got to that age, I was able to actually put them into the the streams, the ability. Now your children are going to talk to other adults. The question will be, who would be that
Who,
other adult? And Coach
who?
Jose mentioned relationship as part of what it is that you need as an advantage for your child. Stella, over to you.
All right, it's been an amazing session. I know you can tell. There's no doubt about that. Well, before we go, I want you to brood over this question as Coach Dozier begins gives us his final word. Remember, he said, if your child were to choose who becomes his parent, will he choose you? If your child is able to provide all he needs today, will he still want you to be his parent? I'd like you to brood
Hello.
over this as Coach Edozie takes his final words. Coach Edozie, over to you.
All right, for final words, Coach Wendy just directed us back to that scripture on wisdom. Wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your
Over time.
times. Get wisdom, get knowledge. I've heard a number of scriptures fly in this conference, and somebody talked about the parable of the sower and what they did. Remember that the owner of that land said something striking at the end of that parable. He said, there are certain weeds that you should leave alone, lest as you tamper with that weed, you kill the destiny.
Mm,
Mm,
mm.
true.
So be careful how you go about all these subject of raising and disciplining children, and ensure that you are giving them an advantage to thrive, to grow, and to survive. Weeds, you might not be able to do something about all the weeds out there, but you can raise that individual who can thrive even in the midst of weeds. Have an amazing day, and enjoy the rest of the sessions we have for this evening. Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right,
you so
Salute
thank
much.
you
and big
so
ups to
much.
Coach Wendy. I salute you,
Thank
man. Thank
you.
you very much for all you do. Yes, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Stella. It's been an amazing
thank
time with you.
you so much for the privilege. Thank you. So we get set for the next session in the next 5 minutes. We will be having our next coach coming by, our next speaker coming by 4:30. Do have a wonderful and a blissful evening. God bless you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, everybody. See you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Fortune, and I am a Yaga. Yay! TIP is the best place to be for every intending and every parent. Trust me, I've been a Yada for the past 3 years, and the knowledge, the skills, the in fact, it's inexplicable. Being in the yard has equipped me with a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills, and much more. I've not only been able to transform my family via the knowledge and the skills that I've been exposed to, I've been able to even develop myself. I'm a teen mentor, and the way I am being able to relate this message, this knowledge and the skills that I have garnered, it's amazing. It's amazing. There are a lot of tools that as a parent you must have at your disposal for you to be able to parent effectively. And trust me, the results are beyond this world. The results are even beyond your own expectation. So I will implore all of you, as you are watching me now, that for you to excel even much more than your expectation, you need to come to the yard and see how it's being done. TIP is the expectation. Thank you.